We'll call the Rules Committee meeting to order at 1:05. Please give a blessing.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you, Lord, for this beautiful summer day. Lord, be with us as we go through our meetings today. Lord, we ask for knowledge, understanding, and just help us to do the right thing in our committee meeting today. Bless us on our route home tonight, Lord. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. The roll call, Shelley?
Yes, sir. Joe Bird?
On in.
David Walking Stick? Jack Baker?
Here.
David Walking Stick? Jack Baker?
Here.
Yes. Present. Now?
Here.
Denise Taylor? Here. David Thornton?
Honey.
Victoria Vasquez? Karen Fallon Watts?
Honey.
We do have a quorum.
The minutes were mailed to you. At this time, I'd entertain a motion to approve. Oppose? Okay, ayes have it. Okay, dropping down the reports. Marshal Service, Mr. Shannon Buell.
Good afternoon. First, what's not in the reports, we have had a lot of fatalities on the Illinois River the past 2 months. Most of you have probably seen on the news. One of those, one of them was it was a sad day, but we're working diligently with the Oklahoma City Rivers Commission to hopefully make it safer out there on the river for people to come in and enjoy that. Other the Claremore group instructors, so we'll be able to go out to more areas with that training for Cherokee. We had a long-standing community guy on that. He was a personal friend to most of us. We all knew him. And we look forward to a quick resolution.
Actually, we bought the land back in a prior administration. We bought the land out on the bypass and 4th Street where it corners out there. What we call the Kirk property. That was some of the land that we purchased years ago. A lot of potential on it, and well, it's just on a routine basis.
We have 34 patrol officers right now. If you notice, as well. One thing are all and that we have our hands.
And they're all cleat.
Yeah, they go to Cleat, and now we're also sending them back to Fletzy. So
they've all been through the that you need them to go through.
yes, yeah, they're all certified officers through the state of Oklahoma. They hold cross deputizations. We just have a one that's in HR right now going through his background. Our background is pretty extensive. It takes around 2.5, 3 months for the background to come back. It's nothing against HR. It takes a long time. We have investigators on our side. Job, get that time down as quick if it's going to develop. Pleased with what's going on at HR and how we're getting those backgrounds.
You've been very attentive to our needs, and I appreciate it.
You know, one of the examples, Ms. Speaker, is a busy day for the Marshal Service. Officer for Tahlequah Police Department got in a police officer shooting. And so 4 of us had to pull off. We were actually eating at Chili's on our break from the election. I'm afraid sometimes we have our hand in no water where there's been. There's been some issues going on there, and we've been asked for assistance on that. The Daily Oklahoman asked for a good article. We need to.
Thank you.
Watts?
Thank you. How are the patrols going at Morgan Hospital?
They go, just like with
our relationships are with our surrounding law, FBI, BIA, U.S. Marshals. What's your perception on the relationship between all those?
On the federal side, we have a very good relationship. Thackerville, Oklahoma. Never thought I'd spend that hand in hand with.
Relationship with U.S. Marshals?
Yes. We also have an agreement with him with North.
Still serving.
So those are the two task forces that we serve on.
Okay. All right.
Oh, Counselor Buzzard?
Shannon, you mentioned a while ago, they take HR 2 to 3 months to do the background check. Are these people working those 2 or 3 months, or are they
No.
on hold, or?
They don't work for us until they get the background. So it's long. By the time we get to that selection, we tell them up front, fine, because but like I said, ours, I don't know what the time frame is on that side of it, but I can tell you that I've met with Nason several times, and I don't think that we could do ours any faster. Yeah, but now, like I said, I don't know about.
Client knows, so they kind of get into it. Anyway, that, thank you.
Good.
The federal cases that y'all work on, are they stuff that happens in the jurisdiction, or?
Yeah, our federal cases only happen on Indian country. Only happen on Indian country. So we're not investigating a federal case that happens in downtown Tahlequah. Let's say that. We're only.
Who are not in charge of it?
Right.
Who?
Say that it's closed, they can, what they'll do is they'll send out a warning notice to all the float vendors and all those businesses up the river and saying, we suggest that you close the floating. It's still up to that individual float business whether he allows people on the water or not, he or she. So they're kind of caught in a mix as well. The drownings that most of the drownings we respond to the past 2 months have not been related to flood. They've been related to little children that can't swim on the river with no life vest. Adults that cannot swim that get on the river with no flotation devices, and they step off in a hole or the current knocks them down and they drown that way. Now, granted that we have had a couple that were because of the high water, but the most is just getting education out to the people in the community that the river, the lakes are dangerous if you don't know how, and you don't wear, it's fine to go to the lake and participate in the fun this summer if you don't know how to swim. If you wear a back, not know how to swim, go down out to the people. It's like out to the deep water, turn around, same thing.
Since we're talking about applications and that type of thing for Marshal Service, do you put these people through a physical test also?
We do. That's actually, they will apply through HR like a normal employee. The HR will do an initial screening to see if they meet the job requirements. Then they will send what's called an employee panel over to our office. My staff calls every person on that panel, and their first question is, we're going to have a physical fit, all that. They come in, they take their physical fitness test before they do anything else. They take their
Test also?
They do. They have to take. Once they know our policy, certified as a police officer somewhere, they have to pass. Then they go through. Let's say a new hire starts today. It might take a month or two to get them in the academy. 8 months of training can even start day one as a marshal. So it's a.
Explain it where you could say,
There you go.
Buzzard, they have to go through all this.
Yep. If you can think a new marshal that gets hired that's not certified, it's better.
I just have a compliment to give you. Park, had someone run the barrier.
They're probably going right by.
I don't think that guy's going.
Well, I can tell everybody, if I can get a marshal to you, we do a good job. We really do.
He did a great job.
It's just getting a marshal to you is sometimes difficult, but that's just the nature of 9,000 square.
Counselor Baker?
Yes, I'd just like to commend Josh Smith on the removal bike ride, because he did an outstanding job.
Yeah, and he had a lot of, has done the removal bike ride several years. He's good for them. He knows what they need to do. This year, however, his wife and him had a baby a week before the removal bike ride. So I brought him in and said, hey, we'll get somebody else for the bike ride, don't worry. He goes, did his when he got back. That's dedication that you normally do not see in employees. I tried my best because I didn't want his wife griping at me, so I was like, you really want to stay home. But they're doing great.
Are you good?
Yes.
Yeah, Counselor Thornton has another comment.
Kind of looked like a stayed a long time. And I've seen the improvements Marshal Service has made. People. They also, I appreciate
Okay.
In the Eastern District of Oklahoma, our briefing chief is due, I want to say August 10th, 14th, okay, mid-August. We may have it done by the 10th, might be a few. That might be our internal deadline. Look forward to filing that and getting the any response back from the Department of Justice and the UKB. Being decisions on the District Court. We're still awaiting a decision on the 2-acre UKB gaming tract. We have been working diligently with the state of Oklahoma on the implementation of the hunting and fishing. They can go back. One, but I to the Cherokee Nation. That's just on the at-large counties. Now, the counties that what we call the extended $1.7 million. That's just year to date. We are on track to do better. So that's $2 million of new revenue that the Cherokee Nation didn't have this time. The Cherokee Nation didn't have $200 million. It's $2 million that will be able to to give to schools, give to roads, give to police forces. So it's been a very, in my opinion, a very good success. And I wanted just to make that point. One other thing that we are doing is that, as we all know, that the election cycle has come to a close, and one of the things the Attorney General's office has done is that we are in the process of preparing a comprehensive report to the council concerning all the complaints and allegations and problems that we've seen. Thank you very much. Sorry. That report will be presented to the council with recommendations of how to address those issues, and we look forward to submitting that report. That concludes my report, and I would entertain any questions that the committee may have.
Questions for our Attorney General? Counselor Lay?
Todd, I'm hearing that we're in litigation with Johnson & Johnson.
Yes.
What's going on?
That is a pharmaceutical company that is, we have filed suit on, had some very adverse effects to our citizens, and we hope to get that, well, it's kind of a shot in the dark. So we will be, hopefully that will pay off for the Cherokee Nation, and we'll be looking to, I'll give you a report. Those are very sensitive cases, and I'd be happy to talk to you offline about that.
Are we joining in a present case that's ongoing?
We are the party plaintiff. Yes, we are. Yeah.
Are you hiring outside counsel?
Yes, we have. His name is Curtis Brule.
Any more questions? Counselor Watts?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the attorney of record is Curtis Rule, is what you said, right? And then you bid that out. How does that work with it?
Contracted.
The charge, then we're not, if I understood your response to Councilman Lay is, does the health department then just generate a list? Are we doing it as a governmental health system, or are we doing it on behalf of individuals?
We do it as a governmental health system. We research our health department, find out, how extensive
So
on behalf of the Cherokee Nation individuals.
okay, so if we were, any award to do this?
We are
or
leading the way in that. Yes, we are. I can't, contacting them about.
Next, we have, very good. Election Commission, Mr. Beal Horton, I saw him earlier.
Good afternoon, council.
Afternoon.
It's over. I think.
Congratulations.
It's been a long, tough one, I'll tell you that. I would like to let it go on record that I really appreciate Shannon Buell and John Payton for the security and for the marshal service that's provided us at the Election Commission. They were all very helpful, very nice. All the people were excellent. Instead of me saying anything else, I'll turn it over to Keely and let her, this is Keely Duncan, our administrator. I'll turn it over to her and let her brief y'all.
Okay, I would just like to add that our election ran very smoothly. We had an excellent turnout, a lot of participation. We had just under 20,000 vote in the general election and just under 3,500 vote in the runoff and new election. I think that's mostly what's not on my report. Is there any other questions?
You can put your hand down. Yeah, Counselor Coates?
Thank you. I want to thank you for your prompt responses to numerous inquiries that I've sent your way in the last weeks.
You're very welcome.
On top of everything. My comment is more of a general comment, and probably just for the Election Commission itself and for considering the whole process. And the vote total, it wasn't as high as it had been in past years. And I think I think we had 4,204 in the general election, if I'm remembering. But in the runoff that we just had, the number was only about a third of that. It was only a little over 1,400. And I am getting a significant number of emails at this point of people who did not receive their ballot. I am getting emails from people who only received their ballot this week. And I am, I'm just wondering because in the past, almost immediately after, I mean, the election is always in late June and usually by July 1st or immediately after the ballot. So the ballots did not go out in case in the past. For instance, who are telling me that the turnaround, it's taking 4 to 6 days for a ballot to reach Tahlequah. And then you'd presume that the time to come back is the same, and then they've got to get it notarized and all of that. And we're giving at-large people, it's not enough time, is what is the bottom line on this. It just was not enough turnaround time. And overwhelmingly, that is the feedback that I'm getting as to why the number was so drastically, so much. I just want to bring that to the attention of the Election Commission, and I know that, you know, the commission's working, but I do just want to express that publicly and express that to the commission, that barely a 10-day window of time to get an absentee ballot is not adequate.
Concerns and maybe a recommendation that we might make to council at a later date as far as the turnaround time between the general and the runoff election before the election. So that, like you said, it just doesn't give enough time for people in Montana, California, and Minnesota. So we're taking that into consideration.
I think that in the to 10 before they were due back, right? They went, so I don't think that for the runoff.
That would be a question I think I would have to refer to our attorney as far as the legal work. We were in a recount the day before July 4th, the holiday. Our election really was
The general election, all that stuff.
Thank you. Thanks.
Counselor Taylor?
Yes, I just wanted to express my appreciation. I got with, and I know people get everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for working with us and all the difficulties I know that surrounding the District 14 election in particular and the responsiveness. Be part of that. Not another month. Maybe we should go ahead and get some answers then.
Answer any questions I can.
I mean, just how does the Election Commission anticipate or plan to be involved in the, heard from Attorney General Hembry?
Midterm that we'll be reviewing, and we had a statute that was a little bit hard to understand. A list of things that we were and trying to come up with a recommendation. That committee will understand all. We finished following to a court has a hearing and then continue it one time for 10 days. If you used all those times set in the statute, you'd be past the 10 days to mail out the absentee runoff to get all that day. Stayed late and heard it and got that resolved. The court worked with us following Tuesday and Wednesday. So, if I remember correctly, we
The district problems with.
two things, and that's something we'll probably be asking the council for help on also. The problem is that people that have P.O. boxes, rural routes, the computer and a rural route address, that their registration send out letters to every midterm. We also have an effort to advise that anyone that put in 15/4 and you don't put street on it, or 12/4, corrected all those that we found, and those are all as we find them. Address.
They were clearly street addresses and none of Catoosa's in District 14 for example. And in the past, when I tried to notify the Election Commission, even in the last couple of years, that these years
Get information that this person is, their addresses, maybe ask them to send in their new address.
I've got to get me some to drink.
Afternoon.
I believe you all have my report, and I have been sending you monthly the details on the at-large revenue and the expanded jurisdictional revenue. Is those reports suffice for what you all need? Is there anything else that you're needing? Reports? Good. going pretty smooth at the tax commission. If you haven't gone by and seen the Tahlequah office, we have sign-in system, the clipboard. They actually sign in just like registration on an iPad. It goes up on the monitors and it tells them where they are in the queue. And we're going to try it there at Tahlequah, and if it works out well, we putting it out to the other offices. So.
Counselor Lay?
The kiosk thing sounds like me. How about one of those numbers that-
I'm sorry.
How about one of those numbers like we used to get at Sears?
Yeah, hand out the number when we get there, because we're live with them this week to go to the IT department. Just a regular tag.
Okay, that's exciting.
It is exciting.
That's all.
Good. Counselor Vasquez?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just complaints about the ADAIR tag office and service, and it's been a good experience, so.
I'm glad to hear that.
And I have attempted or thought about stopping at the Tahlequah tag office, and there's no parking places left. So it's always busy. But
It is busy.
someday I'll go in there.
Yes. Just holler, we'll give you a tour.
Thank you.
In Collinsville and Catoosa. Catoosa is apply for that. 100% disabled are licensed businesses. In other words, they can't go to Lowe's and use it, although, but it are
100%.
disabled. It's not like the state. They just have to be a veteran. Not for the sales tax exemption.
Okay.
Now on the tags, there are, and it's real simple to get it, and we get those out pretty quickly. It's good for a year, and then what we do.
Occurred to me.
Yes, ma'am.
6 weeks, I'd say, before the end of the month in which I'm supposed to
We
renew
usually send it out right around the 1st.
of the month and
Yes.
before that month in the past, and I was just wondering if it had narrowed in some way.
No, normally
Okay.
we try to send it out like the last week of the month or right around the 1st, depending on whether there's holidays in there. Because that, if we send them out too early, we can't renew that tag. If it's a July, we can't renew it till
Until
July
August
1st.
1st,
We
okay.
send them out too early, they come in June and they want to renew, and then they get upset if they have to come back. So we try.
That was a good report. Thank you. Appreciate you.
I saw in a report,
points in the year.
I don't know why I took it as a special distribution. I guess I've never seen it before like that. Usually they'll come down at, all at once instead of 2 million here, 3 million there, and 4 million there.
A lot of that has to do with Congress. They're not passing a normal budget like they have in the past.
I believe my report did make it into. In addition to any questions you might have on that, there are a couple of items I would like to share with the committee. Assessment back in June, and just last week, how it technical assistance. Also voiced a to encourage tribes in the Indian Gaming Regulatory Act. As a part to speak for representing the National Tribal Gaming Commissioners and Regulators Association, and I was joined by Anna Fennell with in the overall states and the federal government have all worked together to get the act. It's an American success story in the mark that has the tribal state 5. As of May, mark, and there. So simple math will tell you 1 billion is a very good indication that Indian gaming is a very much a success story. And couple that with the announcement that the NIGC made last week about stable changes in relation to that. We've made a few changes on some of the regulations earlier on, just a few months ago, I believe. We've got actually lower the threshold. They were thinking about it, casinos, in the event, the reporting limit. Impact financially, procedurally, and just activity happens. Also was countered by the fact that the threshold that was set back in the 70s at $1,200, if you were to adjust it for inflation and such, the threshold should probably actually be increased, because $1,200 in the 70s is not what it is today. So if we were going to look at that, it needs to be increased. After a tribal and in the commercial around to the first, that proposal to the side and just leave it there.
Okay. So you feel the conversations you were...
Yeah, I think is that they were good.
Okay. Anybody else? Councilor Buzzard?
Jamie, I've been in a meeting, and Class 2 gaming has come up a lot.
Okay.
Has the games changed that much to where state of Oklahoma wants to go back and look at Class 2 to start charging a fee on Class 2 gaming now? To where it looks
Financially, in a very long time. And as far as to state that the state will have no jurisdiction over Class 2 gaming. Obviously, gaming facilities is purely up to the tribe on our floor.
Are we seeing a trend of tribes going back more to Class 2?
A little bit. I wouldn't say it's a wholesale departure from going away from compact games, but probably 18 months has gone up slightly. Probably 18 months has gone up slightly. If you have been sitting at around 6 Class 2 games, and that percentage back to more Class 2 machines have been slightly offset by some of those tribes that have gone in the opposite direction and just exclusively gone Class 3 machines in some of their facilities. Yeah.
The governors and the tribes. And I know that well.
Our compacts go through 2020, so we have roughly 4.5 years before we'll see the end of what we have right now, but there's always an eye out for the future on what could be happening in the next compact.
Thank you, Mr.
You good? Well, when the state is operating 600 million in the red, and we've given them an opportunity to look at our books through our compacts the other day and heard his comments and yours as well. You guys did a good job. Doesn't seem like we appeased Senator McCain operate in the rural areas and not do gaming in these. Doesn't seem
The success. The were in place in 1988 were to kind of broaden the scope of Indian gaming, and one of the things that tribes have taken to heart during the self-determination area, and I give credit to Charles Head for this, because he was the one, whenever I first started in self-governance, one of the first things he told me was, we have to know those regulations better than our counterparts. And I think what we, in the spirit, we have taken that law and made it into something that in the next 5 years, almost 6 years, in looking at going back on the compact, when it was projected that the tribes were going to provide past it, we never looked back. And we also greatly exceeded that expectation, because over the last 5 years, we have been running around the $125 million mark that the tribes collectively pay into the state through our compact fees every year. So we went to 75 plus 50. And I think that right there speaks in itself.
Yeah. Very good report, Jamie. Thank you.
Thank you.
Human Resources, anybody here from Mr. Nason Morton? Okay, that's not Nason, but
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm here for Nathan Morton. He's out. I'm Julie Justice, our employee relations specialist.
Julie Justice. Okay.
And I can take questions or.
So.
Under New Legislative Act 0511, which calls for a pay increase for elected officials. So this act is in front of you, and you should have received it by email, asking to not accept the pay increase recommendation.
Got a second? Let's do, got a second? To not amend, no.
No.
Lee Keener,
Yes.
Dick Lay,
Abstain.
Snell,
No.
Janice Taylor,
Abstain.
David Thornton,
No.
Victoria Vasquez,
Abstain.
David Walkenstick.
No.
Harley Buzzard,
Yes.
Joe Byrd,
No.
Wright,
No.
Don Garvin,
Yes.
Frankie Hargis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
This, Counselor Thornton?
Yes. I'm asking for inputs from the Election Commission and the Attorney General's office. So we're still in the process of getting information on item number 2. So I'm gonna ask to table these two until September the 24th.
Okay. Got a motion to table. Second. Okay, you got it? Okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Item number 3, speaker.
Yes, I'm gonna pull that. I think everybody is happy with where it's, so that'll just be for a year from now or whenever the next council wants to review.
Okay, item number.
Report if we had, what we had in the committee, for the recognition. But we had one item that was submitted by, Counselor Keener, and the majority of the committee has, did not feel that it met the criteria to be for recognition, so we have denied that one, and that's all I have to report.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, point of order. There's somebody sent a message that they can't hear anything in the meeting that's listening online. Sorry to interrupt, but could that be remedied or checked before we
Check.
proceed? Thank you.
Okay, next resolution, Counselor Vasquez.
Yes, thank you. This is a resolution authorizing a limited waiver of sovereign immunity. And I put this in the form of a motion and ask for its approval.
Got a motion and a second?
Second. Also, I would like to introduce from Cherokee Nation Businesses, Mr. Jim Harrington, who could answer any questions you might have.
Okay, for discussion, okay. Have any questions? Counselor Walkenstick?
This is in regards to the, Oracle America Inc.
Okay.
Runs software systems like PeopleSoft that, C&.
All right, thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Jeff.
Has Oracle was handling this?
Let me first introduce the gentleman that's going to answer that for you. Mr. Todd Gord is our Chief Information Officer, so I'll turn that over to Todd.
Yes, sir. To answer your question, the acquisition of Micros Fidelio, which is the vendor that produces our point of sale, our golf system, 2014.
Did we have any type of sovereign immunity act for the
There was nothing that I'm aware of.
Is this the only company?
It is not, sir. There.
How much much did we pay this company every year?
Our total investment in Oracle products to date is roughly about $20 million. And that is inclusive of PeopleSoft, that is inclusive of upgrades of the software packages and support cost. That is over the period.
Is there any type of possibility?
We've given that consideration, asked for input from several IT specialists, Gartner Group being one of those. They do a substantial amount of research. It is a very difficult and complex task to take on the development. We have, within the PeopleSoft module itself, or PeopleSoft application, we have over 15 modules that are the core business function of C&B, including accounts payable, human resources, accounts receivable. So it's a significant undertaking, substantial amount of time, and potentially disruption to those services as we try to develop that.
How many years would it take you to develop that?
You know, I hate to give you a date or a time frame. It would be purely a guess, but I would say it would be multiple years. It would depend, obviously, on the amount of resources invested into that task.
C&B have a company they can set up out here to the solving you?
I'm sorry, to set one up to sign a waiver? That is not what would accomplish the goal of the parties in trying to get the contract signed. I think the way these work, in the few instances that we've come to the council for waivers, the parties are or a suite of contracts. The waiver then would apply just to that contract. And so the waivers aren't necessarily company specific, but they're really more directed toward particular contracts between particular parties. So setting up a separate company, I don't think would accomplish what you see. Pardon me?
What does the Chickasaws do?
I don't know.
What's the Choctaws do?
My understanding in talking with some of the other parties on some of the deals I've worked with, for example, a New Markets tax credit deal, is they do provide waivers as well. It depends. I'm sure they're as rare as, I assume they're as rare as when we come to you guys for these, but they do provide them.
Creeks would do that also.
I assume so. I have not talked to the Creeks as much as I've talked to, for example, the Chickasaws.
Okay. I don't like to waive sovereign immunity. That's just the way I am. And I'm not against maybe waiving it for a couple of years, something of that nature, till we can get our ducks in a row. Because I think you can do it faster than 4 years. And I don't think, unless somebody, makes a motion to do this for 2 years, well then I can't be for it. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Counselor Coates?
It was me.
I think it was Counselor Lake. Apologize.
We're interchangeable.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman, appreciate it. Jim, you guys don't come to us very often for a waiver, and when you do, it's for a good purpose, I know, but I'm kind of like my good neighbor down here. I kind of don't like to authorize them unless I know what all's going on, okay? That makes sense?
Very, very much, and we certainly appreciate you expressing that to us.
And one of the things, I see, it's Oracle, and you guys do a lot of business, I take it, with Oracle. By now, they don't trust us, so they want a waiver on something. It's kind of, and the company that, I guess, did they purchase this, Micros Fidelio Worldwide LLC?
That's my understanding.
Yes, sir. It was in late 2014.
Okay, on January 2015, the LLC, that company.
My understanding is the company that you're talking about, they actually use that organization to deal more specifically with tribes like ourselves. I don't know if that's why it's based in Vegas. There are a lot of tribal organizations based there. That's possible. That's just my conjecture.
So they did not create this company themselves, they purchased it, and then they ran it through Florida for an LLC, but it's based in Las Vegas.
That I don't know for sure. We can certainly find out. They want us to have that particular party as a party to some of our license agreements, and it's.
So is this the new operation you're gonna do with Oracle that we haven't done before with them?
I'm not sure how long we've done business with Fidelio. Do you know?
It has been, I have been with the organization now 10 years, and the Micros point of sale system has been in place during that entire time. So the Micros point of sale system, the property management system, I believe, was brought on board when we first built the property in Catoosa. So, and that was about 10 years ago as well.
Well, we've been doing business with Oracle.
Counselor Watts, you said that people couldn't hear. They say that all they can hear is typing. They can hear
Okay.
me and they can hear the person answering the questions. So there you go. You can continue or we can hear your typing. Counselor Lay, back to you.
Makes it. Let's see. Lost my train of thought. I went on typing there for a while. We've been doing business with Oracle and they have not asked for a waiver. Is that correct?
They have in the past asked for a waiver. They have not enforced
Do
that.
they have one at the old company that's now the new company? They did not have a waiver enforced, or did?
They did not.
Like a lot of large companies in the technology business, it grows in a lot of respects by buying other companies. And we have done business with some of those in the past before they were owned by Oracle. As they become owned by Oracle, then Oracle's mantra as to the extent to which it wants waivers from tribal organizations begins to flow down through their other organizations. So the timing by which these are brought to us, they may be staggered. At this point, what's happened is now we're dealing directly with Oracle as opposed to those subsidiaries individually. And so they're the ones that are asking for this for basically all the companies, much like we do with ours.
And when you go through these things, there are a lot of rules, federal court, state court, our court, and all that kind of stuff. But what's our exposure?
I don't think there is any more exposure than usual in a court case. And
Well, I mean in dollar amount.
oh, in dollar amount? Well, let me make sure I understand your question. So you're asking if they wanted to bring us to court, what's dollar amount risk? Types of actions that they're likely to bring, if at all. The one that's most important to them is the ability to seek an injunction, which is merely to stop us if we were copying the software, sending it out. That's the most critical one to any company whose main asset is intellectual property. And it is for that reason then that you may see, Mr. Lay, that the parties will go to federal court to resolve any copyright law disputes because that's the law we would be violating. The damages would depend on the extent to which we're copying and distributing their software. We assume that damage then is zero because we don't plan on doing that. Otherwise, it would be a breach of contract, and that would assume then that we are not paying. So if we are not paying and they prove that we should have been paying, then it would have been the same extent to which our payments were due.
What will we spend with them annually?
Good question. Todd may know.
Yes, sir. Our annual spend with Oracle Corporation today is approximately $750,000 to $1 million per year. That is primarily on maintenance of the existing products as well as some new purchases of as we grow or replace components.
Okay, so they can't trust us for, not me personally, but CMB and Cherokee Nation for $1 million, they want the waiver. They want sovereignty immunity waived. I'm through. And if you guys could figure out something better, I'd really appreciate it. I think this will pass today, but I can't be for it. But one thing I do thank you is for coming to the council to ask for it. Several of the board members of CMB at one time told me could waive sovereign immunity. And we had a good debate for a while, and so it's nice to see you come up and ask. Appreciate it.
But we're glad to be here and we appreciate your time.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, Council Taylor?
Okay, you made the comment, Mr. Carrington, that this organization deals mostly with tribes. Are you talking about micros or are you talking about Oracle? I'm
Yes,
confused
ma'am,
with that.
And for clarification, micros, they do a significant amount of work with tribal governments, but they are also in if you will, corporate gaming as well. The point-of-sale systems, they are not just a gaming company. Their point-of-sale systems are used in various food and beverage venues as well, outside of gaming.
Well, and what I studied up on that particular program was they have something like 650 casinos, which might indicate why that particular branch is located in Las Vegas. So what I'm trying to understand is we've been doing business with Oracle, with PeopleSoft, and some of these other programs for a number of years. Never needed a waiver of sovereign immunity, or just now that we're doing this point of sale, that's what I'm confused about.
In our discussions with Oracle regarding this request, the risk threat to their intellectual property is increasing each year. The technology risk threat, if you will, from primarily foreign countries is the risk to them, this intellectual property. But they have, if you will, a corporate policy. And Jim, I don't know if that's the right term or not, but they have incorporated this language, countries as well as sovereign nations, such as the tribes.
I just wanted to say that we had a big discussion about waiver of sovereign immunity about a year and a half ago. I prepared a summary of what sovereign immunity was and also made a list of all the legislative acts that sought waiver of sovereign immunity, and I worked with them on this and gave them those that as well. And AG, I don't know if you have any comment about this one.
I think the council understands it's not a good thing, but it's something I think the business, doing business in the corporate world has changed. Is that correct, Mr. AG?
If you're going to engage in the stream of commerce, there are going to be time to time that waivers of sovereign immunities become necessary. We are very judicious at the Cherokee Nation about our limited waivers of sovereign immunity. I reviewed this resolution. It's very similar to the dozens of waivers of sovereign immunities that this council has passed as approved in the past. This does not entail any assets of the Cherokee Nation or any liability of the elected or appointed officials. What it basically says, if we don't pay, they have a recourse, and that recourse would be the first federal court, state court, and then tribal court. It is something, and I would agree wholeheartedly with Councilman Lay that only this council can pass can approve waivers of sovereign immunity. That's why a resolution that is in the normal course of business, and like I said, if we're going to, because of a whole litany of Supreme Court cases that have held that wholly owned tribal entities share the same sovereign immunity that the government has, that's what made these types of waivers of sovereign immunities necessary, not only in our tribe, but in tribes throughout the country. So after reviewing this, after talking with CMB, the Attorney General's office is copacetic that this is not out of the ordinary, and we would entertain any questions.
Okay. Councilor Watts?
My question's been answered. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Councilor Keener?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm sorry, I still didn't hear the answer to Councilor Taylor's question. Why now?
Part of what's striking me, I think, Councilor, is that the timing, as Todd said, over time, they gain critical mass, we gain critical mass, and there's a point at which it's so important to both organizations that it's different than it was even a few years ago. I believe in this particular case with Oracle, we had our original negotiations and our license was put in place with them. It's a few years ago, And so it's now sort of at the point where it's time to start renewing those, and the negotiations are now ripe for doing that. So time has changed. It's been a few visited, and so that's why it's before us now.
And if I understand it correctly, the duration of the waiver is only for the duration of the transaction document.
That is absolutely correct.
So it's not over 4 years, 10 years?
No, sir.
It's just to that one transaction document?
And in fact, it has to be, we have to sign it, we have to put it in that document, and it lives for as long as that document lives. Yes, sir.
Thank you for clarifying that. One thing that did catch my eye was it says that the waiver is good for Oracle or from their respective authorized resellers. Could you
Yes, sir.
expand on that, please?
Yeah, I put that in because we're really to the point where we have our group of companies that may be ordering a particular license from one of their group of companies. Originally, we may have been able to deal with Oracle. For example, on PeopleSoft, I believe that's with Oracle. You have our point of sale software that may be with, as we've discussed, one of their subsidiaries. We do, however, have an opportunity once in a while to order from an authorized reseller, and oftentimes that's to our advantage. And so, and I believe not in the not too distant past, if not now, we do have some with their authorized resellers. That has to be an authorized reseller, so I didn't take that lightly. But just in case it is, that's a possibility.
And the same process with the transaction document for that as well?
Yeah, absolutely, yes, sir.
Okay. Then one other question I had was, it may be in here, but I didn't understand it. It was if there is cause for a lawsuit, I didn't see anything here for arbitration before it goes to a lawsuit.
That was a good catch. I noticed that myself. I looked for it. So this waiver does not deal with that.
So this is Oracle's contract, not ours.
It is, we've been negotiating, but
And we didn't press that either. Wouldn't that be to our advantage to have that?
pros and cons. Obviously, I tend to be sort of neutral on it, but in this case, they didn't ask for it. We didn't feel compelled to push for it.
Do we have that in other contracts?
We do have in other contracts, sure. In many we don't, and in many we do.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Councilor Vasquez?
Yes, I'm going to make a request that we extend this resolution for 1 month so that maybe we can have more time to gather more information. I second that motion to table.
Motion second, discussion. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Table at 1 month. Aye. Okay.
Nay.
One nay. One nay. Okay. All right, dropping down.
Yes, this is the Investment Act. The Investment Act we're currently working under is 30 years old, and when I found out the banking fees that we were paying, I realized we needed to make a change to this. However, because it is such a complex issue and so many people have questions, I'm going to withdraw it at this time until some of the bugs. And so I would ask the people on the council to think of your questions as you read through this and direct those to those two people so that we can get a good handle on this and quit paying so many bank fees. So I'm going to withdraw this at this time.
Okay. It's withdrawn. Moving on down, we're doing good on time here. Any announcements? Next meeting will be Monday, August 17th. Yes.
On this act, if it keeps going the way it's going, from my understanding is
Which
that
act you talking about, Counselor?
the act that we just discussed.
The one, Counselor Taylor?
Yes. If we keep, and we're going to be losing money to bank fees, is that correct?
We already are, and we have been.
So if this extends any further, we're going to continue to lose money?
We are paying bank fees, but I had a lot of people call me, a lot of people have called Treasurer Horn, a lot of people have called the Attorney General's office, and they just weren't quite ready to go with these changes. Some changes have been suggested. They're running the legality on those.
I don't think we're
And,
gonna lose any extending it a few weeks. I think that's what he's asking. Is that correct?
That is correct, and what is important is that when we present something to the travel council, we want all our ducks in a row. We want every I dotted, every T crossed.
Do we need to table this talk?
No, as the sponsor of the act, Councilor Taylor has the right to withdraw it. That she feels that it's ready to go. It's not, there's been no vote on it, it's not been put at issue, but that's one of the privileges that you have as a sponsor of the act is the right to withdraw it. And she's Knott's Rules Committee.
Okay. That was good. Thank you, Attorney. Thank you, Chair.
Council Lake?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And are we withdrawing until, will it be this seated council or the next, or?
The idea, I'm assuming, is to withdraw it until the next month. The next month's rules meeting, there will be a new seated council. But, you know, again, it's up to Councilor Taylor to reintroduce it.
That the council in general was not ready to move on this. And so I'm not trying to push anything through. I just, it's something that needs to be done, but not until everybody's ready to do it.
And if I may, and I appreciate that, and we've discussed it, that we should have been aware as a body what was happening and that we needed to do this act, but withholding the information from council, I was not happy with, and that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Okay. Need a motion? Okay. Need a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Speaker?
Prior rules meeting on the 10th to go back to this waiver.
Reading day starting at 1, all the way to 6.
1 to 6.
Everybody can work on it some more and probably get it resolved.
This 10,
Okay, what's our first meeting?
1.
1, why don't we do 11:30? Okay.
With only the waiver on the
Yes,
agenda.
yes.
Let me ask you, it's the 17th. So you move your regular meeting?
Have that special meeting?
Well, it's just up to you to set up.
Okay, so we're good.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other items, any comments, announcements?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn? Second. We're adjourned.
What time is it, Joe?